Hi, I'm Rebecca from ChemKnits, and today we're going to have some fun with a Tulip tie-dye kit. We've done some other tutorials showing you how to hand paint and dye cotton and how to dye some complete knitting, which are also on the channel. But right now we're going to dye some dry 100% wool, 100 grams, using the tie-dye food coloring. So to start off, we have our surface covered in a plastic garbage bag, and we have a glass bowl. And I'm going to take this skein of yarn and neatly put it in the bowl, but first I I guess it was one big long loop, and I just twisted it once to form two neat circles, and I am placing it in the bowl. So dyeing with tie-dye kits is a longer process. You have to wait 6 to 8 hours for the dye to take. And so I'm going to see what happens and how much coloration versus white we get from just really scribbling this with two colors of dye, blue and purple. So you can see that because the wool is currently dry, that the dye is beading up on top of it. And I'm going to try very hard to not move these skeins in the process, because I want to let the dye soak into the yarn and then wick through. But I will add, I do want the stuff on the bottom to get some dye, so I'm going to add some color around the rim of the bowl. Hopefully. Yeah, you can see it kind of going down there. And so presumably we'll get some kind of fun pebbled effect. It's always nice to have paper towels handy for when you make any errors like I just did, and also to wear gloves to protect your hands. The gloves that came with the kit itself were not my favorite. I found that I ended up with a lot of color on my hands. So let's see, we're scribbling on some of this purple. Well, certainly this is very pretty. Add some around the edge. So it's going to take longer for the colors to soak through. I know I initially said I wasn't going to move it, but I think I am going to flip it over and paint the other side. See all that purple at the bottom? So we've got some nice fun coloration going on there. So I don't want it to be totally asymmetric. But who knows how much this dye will penetrate, or how dark or vibrant it'll be. It looks nearly black right now, but that's because it's still very concentrated. You can see what's all over my hands is very much more purple. So I've never tried this before, and I don't know if it's going to completely flop or not. Oh, I guess maybe that was the blue I was adding. But this yarn, alright, I finished that color. The last bit of loose. So I have a feeling that since we're starting off with the dry yarn, that we are going to see a lot more white and a lot less mottled. So I'm curious, yeah. So there's a lot of color that has sunk to the bottom and mixed. You can see. And so I'm going to take this and actually had it. So I wasn't, you know, I had no idea how much liquid that I had or not. But adding that, and then by patting this, will give us some fun colorations. But the amount of dye that we added in here was more than, oh gosh, see why we wear gloves? The amount of dye that we added in to this bowl is more than was added in some of the 50-gram skeins that we painted. So if the skein is wet, your dye will go a lot farther than what we did just now. But it's always fun to experiment, isn't it? Alright, so now we've got this mottled yarn here, and, well, I need to dry off my hands. I love paper towels. And now I am going to cover this bowl in saran wrap. In my other tie-dye tutorials, I actually took the yarn and wrapped it in saran wrap itself. But in this case, I want to take advantage of every ounce of dye that I have. And so I am going to completely cover this with saran to keep the moisture in and let it sit for 6 to 8 hours. But I'm going to make sure to clean up my area. So, yeah. So there's our covered bowl, and I will be back when it's all set. At about 5 hours into this experiment, I decided that I wanted to try to disperse the color further. So the dye has been on the yarn long enough that the color should have absorbed. But what I'm going to do is now add water to the dye bath. But not really rinsing it. So this water I'm adding right here is just some residual dye that I've rinsed out of these containers. But so now that I've done that, so you can see that some of the color is rinsing away, but not all of it. You see we've got this nice purple dye bath here. And I'm planning on letting this sit overnight. So it appears that all of the little colorations I have are gone, but we'll see when we rinse it if there are some speckled portions or not. So this project went through many iterations as I was experimenting with different yarn tie-dyeing techniques. And in the end, we ended up submerging it, but only about half was sitting in the water. So I have no idea what it's going to look like. But it's time to rinse it. And so we're going to remove all that excess dye and start washing the yarn with cool water. You can already see that a lot of color is washing right out. But that's to be expected. But what's making me very happy, well, I guess it's not clear yet if we have multiple different shades, but it does look like we are going to have, I guess you can kind of see right there, different shades of purple. So we're going to rinse that with cool water, and then eventually we'll add a little bit of dish soap after the plain rinse water has run clear. And let it soak a bit and rinse a bit, and then we'll hang it up to dry and take a look and see what we created. And so here is the result of adding Tulip tie-dye kit to dry yarn and then adding more water after it's had time to sit a bit. You can see that we've got some really gorgeous variation in the color because there really wasn't enough water for the tulip dye to penetrate very far. So yeah, I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and thank you for watching this dyeing experiment.